Good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host, and I have a very special guest on today. This guy is literally a rock star. Like he actually is like the founder of the Rockstar Automotive. I think he calls it the non-conference, but we'll get into that. But I want to welcome my buddy Mat Koenig to the show. Matt, welcome to the show, man.
What's up, brother? Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited to break through walls.
Dude, you're. Let's just give everybody a fair warning. There could be some choppiness. Matt is in a seedy motel in
San Francisco.
in San Francisco for the NADA show, and he's got. The internet there is not necessarily the best.
God, I feel like we're starting this show off on the right foot.
Well, dude, we just gotta give everybody a warning, man. That's all. So Matt, I created this show back in March or April. I said yesterday I gotta go look and see what. When it actually was, I don't remember, but this is really about helping people get unstuck, man. And in life we all hit those walls. We hit those and don't know how to get over them, around them, under them, or just bust through them. And I know you've hit some in your life and in your business and your journey. And I just wanted to kind of get you to share your story about how it all happened. And Tammy Woodard, do you see her comment? She says it looks like Matt is in a dark closet.
Sorry, that's the blinds.
In San Francisco, nonetheless.
Yes, and there's a light.
I have it in split screen right now, so nobody can see the light yet. So there you go. So hey, Craig Lockard's on. I love that dude. So Matt, let's start with you telling everybody where you were born and raised. Let's start there.
Awesome. All right. I was actually most of my life I've spent where I was born and raised in Michigan. Grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. That's a real place. They brew Bell's beer. For those of you that like beer. But yeah, I was born and raised there, and built a kid when I was 18, and said, "Holy cow, I better get a grown-up job." And stumbled into car sales, thankfully, because my dad did drugs with a finance manager at a dealership. And that's how I got in the car business. And 24 years later, man, I've been very, very fortunate, very blessed to do a lot of stuff between, working every facet you can at the dealership, from sales F&I, sales management, and then, being director of training for a group where I was teaching their leadership on down. Then I got to go to work with Cars.com, fixed a 10-year problem they had. And then I launched Edmunds direct-to-dealer program. And then Chris, my business partner, and I had this bright idea that how hard can it be to do conferences?
Yeah. Let's, dude, you're like, this is going to be the fastest interview ever. Okay, well, thanks for being on, Matt. No. You don't get to escape that easy, dude. So listen, man. Let's talk about childhood. Let's start there, man. Like so you were, unfortunately, you're from Michigan. I'm kidding. I'm a Buckeye dude. So I know.
All right, Craig. Now I see why Ken likes you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But so talk about what you said. Your dad was in the car business.
No, my dad did drugs with a guy in the car business. Yeah, so you said my childhood. My childhood was a mess, man. I grew up in a poverty-ridden environment, man. My dad's side didn't have a whole lot of money. My mom's side, they ran with a lot of bikers, and so I wasn't necessarily in the most wholesome environment. About high school, where I started spending time living with my grandparents. But I built a child, and I was like, holy cow, I'm going to have to be a grown up and support him. And my dad smoked pot with a finance manager at a dealership and got me a job interview. I thought I was going in for an interview to detail cars, and they ran me through the interview, and they said, show up on Monday, you're going to start selling cars. And I'm like, wait, what? Okay. They're like, wear a tie. And I'm like, I literally bought the pants, the shirt, and the tie I had on at like Goodwill because I had no money and no grown-up clothes.
And how old were you at that point?
18. I was 18 years old.
So you graduated high school?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
And you got in no trouble in school at all, I'm sure.
No, I was. I managed to slide under the radar pretty well in school. I was very good at knowing the right people and never being at the forefront of things.
So right. So I don't know how I can relate to that, but somehow I can. But so you were so you didn't go to college then?
I did so while I was selling cars, I actually started going to college, started getting my prereqs out of the way at Kalamazoo Valley Community College. And I was going for accounting because you could tell that's my personality type, is to be locked away from people. I had a great English class, and I started taking the accounting class, but I missed the first day because we were closing a month. And the teacher had the audacity on the second day to go, let's see if the losers that skipped the first day are here. And I was like, at this time I'm 19. I go, I'm 19. I made more money than you did last year, and I paid for the class. So right. I don't appreciate being called a loser. And I got up and left. And I was like, you know what? I don't need a guy that's teaching, antiquated things to guide me. I think I just need to learn how to sell, and sales will fix everything.
Wow.
And it's thankfully it has.
So you started out selling cars at 18.
At 18.
Wow.
Blew out of the first 2 stores I was at too, man. No training. It was there's the keys, there's the lot. And I literally still remember my first customer interaction because it ended with me being told if I let them leave again without introducing them, I could just go with them. That was literally my first day, my first customer interaction.
Wow.
It was horrible. And I almost got fired in the first day. And I'm thankful they made a hiring mistake because I never should have been hired in the first place.
Wow, dude. It was bad, huh? Did you make it? Did you make any money though in the first?
Well, to me, I did. So, I'm 18. My first month, I think I sold 7 cars. I made like $1,200.
Whoa!
And I thought I was rich, dude. Like literally, the only person in my family that ever made more than $30,000 was my uncle, who was a crop duster. And I always remember because Danny had a green Jaguar XJ6.
Jaguar.
3 syllables for those of you that call it a Jaguar. My uncle had a Jaguar XJ6 green. I still remember. It's a beautiful car. And I was like, that's what it means to be rich. Like if you have a Jaguar, you're rich, right? So I was like, one day I'm going to be rich and I'm going to have one. So it's funny. My first month I sell 7 cars. I make $1,200 and I think, man, I'm on my way. Like I'm killing the game. This is 1994, by the way, everyone, just so you know. And for an 18-year-old kid, that was a lot of money compared to $4 an hour I made sanding drywall for my dad.
Right.
Month 2, I sold 5 cars and made $1,300, and I was like, wait, I could work less and make more money. At the end of month 2, the general manager was kind enough to come to me, and he spoke like he had cotton balls in his cheeks, and he said, boy, in these 2 months, I learned to love you like a son. I was like, well, thanks, Sam. He goes, boy, I'm firing your ass like a man. Get a box. You're gone. And I was like, wow. I drove in the Plymouth Horizon, crying, literally in tears, like, oh, my God, when this baby is born, he's going to die of starvation because I won't be able to provide for him.
God, dude.
I cried all the way home, man. I cried the first day I got the job because I was so excited, and I called my grandma. I'm like, I'm going to make so much money. I'm going to be a professional sales. She's like, what are you doing? I said, selling cars. And on the other end of the payphone, it sounded like she had been stabbed. She was like, oh, don't let him turn me into a liar. So then I'm like crying. I'm like, oh, I thought she'd be so proud of me. And she's not. And then on the last day I was crying. I was like, man, I am an immature child. And I'm like, I can't hold a job and I've got a human coming. Oh, this is not a good start to grown-up life.
Wow, dude. Wow. So, wow. So you decided at that moment after getting fired from the job you were killing it in. Sorry. You decided that's it. I'm done with the car business. I'm going to go sand drywall. That's my calling. All right.
I didn't actually. I told myself, I was like, man, you know what? This is easy money. If someone teaches me how to do it right, I can do it well.
Yeah.
And I failed in the first store because I think looking back, 24 years later, man, the real reason was I thought sales was about how much could you take advantage of people. That was how they ran their store. How much could you get away with? And that never settled well with me. And now I understand why my grandmother said, don't let him turn you into a liar. So it never sat well with me. And then once I realized, okay, it's not about that. It's about serving people. I was like, okay, this is what it's all about. And then it started to make sense. But that store, I went to another one actually, and I told them, if you'll just teach me what to do, I know I can do a great job for you. And thankfully they made a hiring mistake in hiring me with no experience. But the problem was they didn't teach me either. So it wasn't actually until I got fired from that store. The third one, I hooked up on Grant Cardone training.
Wait. Hold on. You got fired from a second store?
Oh, dude, I got fired from a second store within the same year. I mean, yeah. Another 60-day deal. No training, up rotation system, middle of winter in Michigan. Every time a young kid like me pulled on the lot, they were like, hey, Pugsley, that's yours. Yeah, what? You heard it right. Because I have a little short, fat kid with black hair.
Oh, my God, dude. So wait a minute. You said no training. So these dealerships are hiring people and not training them?
You act like that's different than today.
No, I don't know. Hey, dude, you've heard me say it a million times. I'm not in the car business. Although Lisa Copeland and everybody keeps saying, like Frank Lopes is like, yes, you are. We've adopted you. But like, I've never, one time, a long time ago, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and I went to work for Marietta Jeep, and I think I was there for like 3 days or something because I took this couple out in a demo, and I'm like, dude, let's go to an open parking lot and open this thing up, man. And just like, he's like, I'm afraid of it rolling. I said, well, let's try to roll it.
Yes.
I did. And it wouldn't roll. It wouldn't roll, dude. And they bought it. But they said, yeah, man, they told the sales manager or something. I let them and I got fired. So it was like 3 days. I'm like, you're an idiot then, man. If you don't, you can't claim that it won't roll and not let people test the roll factor.
You got to try and roll it. We got to try and roll it.
Right. But anyway, so like you, you got fired from you. I feel like we're Dumb and Dumber right now.
Well, you know what? Listen, every hero's story the hero's journey has to have, right? There's got to be that point where the hero is down, but sad deal is it's happened multiple times throughout. You and I have talked, so you know more about the story. But starting out, it wasn't a good start. I say it wasn't a good start, but the reality is, Ken, it was the absolute best start, and it was the start that I needed.
Yeah.
Because had I not been in those stores, like the second store of my training was go upstairs and watch American Sales Television Network for 2 weeks. and then you're going to be great. I'm like, all 2 weeks was like a series on fixed ops, service department. I'm like, I thought, like, am I going to go be in service? Like, I don't even know why I'm watching this, people. I don't know. So it was a rough start, but it was the one I needed because by the time I failed out of the second store. And now, mind you, we had apartments. My son had a crib dresser. We had a table that was given to us by my dad, a couch that was in no bed, no other furniture. Like we were like ramen noodle, like eating, 19-year-old kids and sleeping on blankets on the floor for a bed. And I was like, holy cow, like this is not the life that I said I was going to have.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is not okay. And so I went to a third dealership and it was December. The one that I was at, the GSM, you'd know how good your day would go after lunch, depending on how red his nose and cheeks were, because there was a bar South Bank that he would go to for lunch. And if I came back super drunk, you knew he was going to be fun. If he like had one more, it was going to be like bad, yell at everybody day. But the one kind thing he did was he came up to me about a week before Christmas and he goes, I'm not going to fire you before Christmas because that would be horrible, but you're not going to be starting the new year here. He goes, I'm still going to pay you your draw, but you should probably go look for another job and call in sick tomorrow. Like literally.
Oh my God.
So at least it was kind of him. Hey man, it was rough, but oh man, there's nobody. It was just hell on earth.
That was dealership number 2.
Yep, Chrysler Dodge Jeep store, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Plymouth Ram back then.
Did you test the Jeep roll factor?
No, they wouldn't let me drive cars. They kept saying like I was too young to be on the insurance. I think they just didn't think I could drive without crashing.
Wow, man. So you found a third dealership.
I did, and they didn't make a hiring mistake. I say the other two did because they did. To hire someone and not train them was a horrible decision.
Yeah.
The store, they literally brought me in. I interviewed 4 hours the first day. It was actually 8 with all the wait time, and another 6 to 8 hours the second day. And they walked me through everything. They said, for 2 weeks, you're going to have a mentor working with you, a guy named Chip Iceberg. I love the guy to death today. I think he's fantastic. He was a pro golfer that went into car sales afterwards.
Wow.
But he mentored me for 2 weeks. I got turned on to Grant Cardone training, which, as you know, I love Grant. He came and keynoted our first Rockstar for free. And Grant, his training really changed my life because it was really customer centric, right? How would you treat your family member? Why wouldn't you treat everybody like that? Make it fast, make it easy. And that first year, I won Salesperson of the Year. I won a trip to Vegas before I was too old enough to go, and still went and drank in Vegas because I was super responsible. And I was like, this is it.
Wait. Okay. You won Salesperson of the, so you got fired from the first 2 dealerships. You get a job at a third dealership, which is unbelievable. Like, dude, the car business, after losing 2 jobs in the car business, like most people are going to be like, yeah, this isn't for me. Like, I guess I'm just not meant to be in car sales. But you said, no, I'm going to a third one, and you got some training from Grant Cardone, which we both love Grant Cardone. His training's phenomenal. But so you got this training, and is that what gave you the besides your natural drive, but is that what gave you the ability to become number 1 in that dealership?
It was a mix of 2 things. It was the Grant Cardone cassette tapes and VHS tapes, helpful.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger thing was that I was mentored by this gentleman, Chip. Chip literally, he didn't do what most people do, which is let me sick him on some people and then I'll get some split deals out of it. He literally would sit with me and he was a business professional. He would tell me, he goes, listen, you can stand around and talk to these other jokers who are going to complain about all the stuff that they can't control and do all this other garbage. He goes, or you could learn to shut up and listen. And he goes, this may not sound nice to you, but I actually care. And he goes, look, dude, am I going to get some split deals off this? Sure. But he goes, here's the reality. I care about you being successful. And so if you'll just listen to me, I will help you do it. And here's the funny part. He was the number 1 salesperson there.
Wow.
And way, that was the only only time I ever beat him at anything was by getting Salesperson of the Year. It was me, him, and a guy named Tim Thurman, and I literally won a unit and a half at the end of the year when it was all. And I got to tell you, man, I owe all of that to Chip and his mentorship. I guess the big thing that made the difference is someone cared enough about me to invest in me.
Dude, see, that's and Bill Have is on here, by the way. I love that dude, man.
I started a watch party on my phone, so people are watching us through that.
Bill's freaking amazing, but he's an example of what you're talking about. Like, you know, caring about other people is so freaking important. And it took somebody who, and sorry, but man, it's kind of funny that you got fired from, especially the second way that you got fired. Like, dude, I'm not going to fire you before Christmas because that would just be cruel, but don't come back.
Exactly. That's how it was. And for those that don't know, the watch party, if you don't see both Ken and I, there you go. Yeah, dude, it was brutal.
So you really started to take off. I'm assuming you started making better money than $1,200 a month.
Yeah. So in 1995, my first year selling cars, I made like almost 40 grand.
Yeah.
Which back then was quite a bit for a 19-year-old kid, right? I felt like I was super rich. And I'll tell you, dude, but after 2 years, I had the same issues that most people have, which is you start thinking you're smarter than your boss, you think you know everything, and then it went downhill. And I had a roller coaster ride for a few years till I got kicked in the butt again in 98 by another great sales manager who cared.
Yeah.
And my life changed then in a major way. I all of a sudden understood what it really meant to have a leader who cared about you. And then the store saw me progressing, and that leader recognized I was not good at selling used cars because I wanted everything to be perfect for someone. And they shifted me into a new car role because it was a split floor and imports, which was Nissan. And I'd found my home then. And I could fully embrace it. And then they did Joe Verdi training, which taught me processes because, as you know now, I'm just not a process-driven guy. I think processes are a way to measure, but I hate that most salespeople say, here's a sales process. I'm like, no, all that shit should happen naturally in a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
So, but I learned some like prospecting and building a schedule and processes that I just didn't have in place. And that's what pushed me into a leadership role and becoming a trainer and stuff like that. So I had two great people in my life, man.
And I think that's so important because there are so many people that struggle trying to, you know, I read something, I think Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote it. He said that spirituality cannot exist in a vacuum. And you know, we're all spiritual beings, you know, having this human experience. And I think that it's so important that you recognize that there are people on this planet that if you're struggling with anything, they will help you. And I've been helped by so many people. The list is insanely long. So I think about like, you know, what you're saying, like you had two people that, you know, slapped reality into you probably in a lot of ways. Right. And you were given that help, and I'm sure people have reached out to you saying, dude, I'm stuck and I don't know what to do. And you help walk them through it, especially in the car business, man. I mean, how many car salespeople are there on this? Well, just say in the U.S., there's got to be.
Dude, well, there's roughly 20,000 franchise dealers, another 60,000 independents roughly because they come and go every day. I mean, so if you figure the average store's got 10 people, I mean, we're talking about, you know, what, 600,000 selling cars somewhere in that area, right? 10 times 60,000.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
Half or more, probably, selling cars. I mean, it's tough. Clinton Bramlett just commented on the watch party. He said, I have to interject here that Matt's helped me several times. I love Clinton. So one thing I found, Ken, funny because you talk about helping people and me doing it. I get less people. It's funny in the last year and a half because I made some shifts. Those that know me know man, I was a pretty aggressive dude about a year and a half ago with stuff. Like I loved helping people, but if we, if we weren't necessarily pals, and you kind of ticked me off, I kind of went on social media and let everybody know because I was a little less than happy with people back then. But in the last year and a half, I made some pretty shifts. And one of the things I've been getting a lot more calls, usually that it has to do with people, not just like, hey, I'm having trouble with a deal, but it's more like, hey, this is going on in my life. Can I talk to you about that? And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I hear you, man. I've been there myself, and I think that I want to talk a little bit about, because I know you did car sales for how long? How many years were you?
12 years. 12 years before I went out on my own for the first time, and then did work with vendors.
Okay. What's that mean? You did work with vendors?
So after 12 years, my friend and I launched a sales training company that was doing regional training all over the country.
Oh, okay.
And we weren't outside salespeople, and we failed miserably and lost everything, and literally like lost every single penny. I know you and I've talked. Like church group putting food on your porch, lost everything.
Wow.
Like went from nearly six figures to $0 in 6 months, and added another 50 grand of debt.
Wow.
But Cars.com picked me up. They found my resume and said, hey, we need somebody in Western Michigan and in Indiana. And they didn't tell me that they had been failing for a decade in the market through the affiliate.
Yeah.
They were just like, hey, you've probably never heard of us. We're like Auto Trader, except we sort by price, so it's more customer friendly.
Right.
And I launched their platform, and this was in 2006 was when I was starting. And I loved their platform, and I said, okay, I'll take the job, mostly because, Target and Walmart wouldn't even hire me because they looked at what I made. And they wouldn't hire me even for a manager gig because they were like, managers make half of what you made. Yeah. You're going to quit as soon as you get something better. And I was really struggling. I was praying a lot. I was like, man, God, why no one will hire me? I actually have a good resume now. I'm an adult with a good resume.
Right.
Cars.com did. And I was selling their product to dealers. And I was very fortunate because I just told the truth. I told dealers, you've never heard of it. For the first 3 or 4 months, you might not ever see a lead come through. I said, but here's the deal. Once I get, 20 or 30 dealers on in this market, Cars.com will start spending 10 grand a month to advertise it.
Yeah.
And then you'll start seeing leads come through. And I said, and the more inventory that's on, the more customers that'll come. So tell me 2 or 3 of your dealer buddies so I can go turn them onto this too. I'm like, this isn't like your website where you're like, I want to be the only one. And so first year with Cars.com, I actually won every award I could win, Salesperson of the Year, President's Club. And they were like, well, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? I'm like, I just told the truth.
Yeah.
Like I didn't blow smoke up dealers' butts. I know what I hated when vendors came to me to try and sell me stuff. And I just didn't do that. And a few months after that first year, they said, hey, man, we want you to train all of our salespeople. We want them all to sell like you. So they made me a sales training manager, and I trained their salespeople. And then they were like, I was riding with them, and they were like, well, dealers like you, why don't you also be a dealer training manager? And I'm like at that time, no one was doing both. And so I was actually a sales training manager, and I was doing their dealer trainings all over the country. And wow, what a great company. I don't care what anybody says about Cars.com. And the rates are not. They are a great company. Alex Vetter, who's now the president, I love Alex to death. He and I used to spend a lot of time together. Yeah. Mitch Golub was the president, but just a quality company.
Dude, we got Katie Mayers on the show with us right now.
Oh, I love Katie.
Katie is freaking awesome.
Ever.
What's that?
She's one of the most genuine human beings ever. Like
she
her
is. She's real as it gets too. She's awesome. So, and I know she's a speaker at your event, which I want to get into, man. I want to get into. So you worked for Cars.com. You killed it. You found, and that's the thing, man. I think that I want to point something out is everybody wants overnight success. Like, I've told this story before. I mean, I have 16 and a half years of sobriety, and I can remember when I first got sober and thinking I saw these people driving driving Mercedes, showing up to these meetings I was going to, and one dude drove a Ferrari, and I'm thinking, that's what I get for this. This is awesome. When do I get the Ferrari? Like I want it now.
Right? He wasn't sober when he had all that.
Right. Well, so we all want it. We want the success overnight, and it doesn't happen that way. You got to go through the getting fired from 2 dealerships or whatever, right? And you got to go through all the bad stuff to get to the good stuff, and because it's on a gradient. It's not like overnight. It just doesn't happen that way.
True story. And it's funny, Nate Martin, he's at cars.com, great guy. He just commented on the watch party, if I can't show you value, I wouldn't expect you to stay with us, is one of the things. It's funny, when I was training people at cars.com, I'm like, look, when you're going in and you have to do a rate increase because we've been building their business. I'm like, look, you got to honestly say to them, if I can't show you value, I don't expect you to stay doing business with me.
Right.
Just the thing is, people remember these as like word tracks and lines, and it's like, no, it's just a thing. It's an honest thing to say, right? I mean, It is. And you know what, Ken? I'd love to act like, the hard stuff comes at the beginning of being an entrepreneur, but you've started your own companies, but the hard stuff comes throughout as well, man. After Edmunds, I took a risk, went out on my own, and I didn't realize the common sense part, which is when you leave the place that's writing you a 6-figure check and start – next week, that check's not there.
Right.
Crap, I didn't have a lot in the bank because I drive a 12-cylinder Mercedes and lease this house, and I spend it all because I can sell something tomorrow and make more. And I'm like, at that time, I'm like, I got a $3,000, alimony and child support going on.
Yeah.
I've got S600 12-cylinder twin turbo payment and this house, and I go out every night of the week because that's was my party rock lifestyle.
Right.
And I was like, holy golden calf, Moses. This company I'm starting better sure work.
and that's and then you have some success, and then you have some setbacks, and then you have especially when you have the setbacks, like all that self-doubt comes pouring in. And it's and Katie actually did a live stream last night that was phenomenal about that, the fear and getting through it and all of that. But that's probably one of the toughest parts.
It still is, Ken. Yeah. And good morning, John Dawson. Good morning, Tim Noyce. Thanks for jumping on the watch party. It is, Ken. And I'll tell you, those don't go away, right? Like, no matter I love Tony Robbins. I listen to – a lot of people don't realize every day I do devotionals in the morning. Every day I'm listening to something positive, Joel Osteen, Tony Robbins, something – and people are like, wow, why do you do that? And motivational, blah, blah, blah. Zig Ziglar said it best. You don't wait till you're dirty to shower, right?
Right.
For me, listen, there's that little voice in your head, it's the devil, the enemy, whatever, speaking in your ear that always wants to remind you of the bad times, right? Yep. So a lot of struggles where I'm like, oh, come on. You have a rough one, or you don't quite get the deal you wanted. You didn't close that big sponsor in that moment. And the enemy's whispering in your ear like, well, I mean, listen, you were never supposed to be at this level. You grew up a poor kid. Yep. You should still be in this little trailer, the little trailer park home, busted down trailer with holes in the floor and no screens in the windows. And that doubt creeps in.
Yep.
And it hurts because you're like, God, but why would you allow me to achieve certain things if I wasn't meant to keep getting better? And one of my favorite sayings, Joel Osteen goes, it's not a setback, it's a setup. And I just love that.
I love that, man. I love that too. So you started this, so you got, so you transitioned from being a national sales trainer with cars.com, right?
Yep.
You mentioned Edmunds. Is that something different or is that the same? I don't know.
Edmunds.com, the largest, number one, most authoritative automotive site in the world, wanted to sell classifieds to car dealers.
Okay.
And they reached out to me and said, hey, would you launch this for us? We tried it with Auto Trader. They overpriced it and it failed. So they had no dealers on anywhere. And I literally sold the first client. They brought me on. I launched the program as a contractor for them all over the country. Wow. And yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous, the amount of deals that I was able to thankfully bring on. They were brand new to the space for classifieds. All their money was from manufacturers advertising with them. So I launched that program for them. I was very fortunate that I got the call to do that. It was funny because when they first called, they said, we'd like to hire you to do this. And I said, they said, dealers hate us and we need to change the perception, because they did this thing called Confessions of a Car Salesman. And they went to like an independent car lot that was like the shadiest one ever with a hidden camera. And then it painted the picture that everyone was that way.
Oh.
And granted, there were a lot that were that way back then, but it was not the rule. It was the, small percent, but it was still. And so I said, well, I'm a car guy and I hate you. So why would I work with you? And they're like, we don't do those things anymore. We're not going to paint this tainted picture. And here's how much of a check we'll write you. And I was like, okay, I'll be your friend. So I went to work for them, and did that for a year. And then I took a leap and started my text messaging company, text lead gen company, like that. Yeah.
So at some point, though, you decided to do the Rockstar Automotive conference.
Yeah.
Non-conference or conference?
Well, so the company is Rockstar Auto Conference, but we've shifted the name to Rockstar Events. And there's one reason we've shifted the name to that, because we're not like the conference as people are used to. And a lot, like my good friend Dan Moore was talking to me. And I've talked to a lot of vendors.
He's awesome.
I love Dan.
He's awesome.
Selling Vista Dash too, to Car Wars. Dan's a good human, man, loving guy. And what he said to me is this: most vendors and most dealers are saying this: conferences suck. I don't know if I'm going to go to any in 2019. And Chris and I were talking, and we went, we don't put on a conference. We put on an event. Like, there's music, there's excitement. People are standing up, they're clapping, they're running around the room taking selfies to win tickets to the next one. They're doing Rockstar speed dating to meet the like vendor companies. This is an event. It's like a rock concert meets education. And we said we've got to get the conference name out of what we market, because we don't want people to go, oh, it's just another conference. And that was the thing. When I was talking to Dan, he goes, I was talking to someone and they were like, yeah, isn't that Rockstar thing the one that Grant Cardone spoke at and Gary Vaynerchuk did an Ask Gary V show for? Wasn't it in like a movie theater? And it's our very first one. We did it in Alamo Draft House because it was just such a unique environment.
Wow.
And which we're going to do 4 more in like Austin, Nashville, Seattle, Detroit, and then Florida. And we're going to hit Alamo Draft Houses and concert halls. So that it's very rock and roll. And so we said, we got to stop calling it a conference, or people are going to think it's just like, and no knock on what everyone else is doing, right? Ziegler's got a good one. There's all these folks that do conferences.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We do life-changing events. If we can help you be a better person, you're going to sell more products. You're going to make more money. So we teach people way more than just, here's 3 fancy words that'll overcome 72% of objections. It's 2019. That's bullshit. Sales training stuff. Listen, come in, train my dealership once. I can learn everything else I need to watching your videos online.
Right.
But that's a whole nother rabbit trail to go down.
I'm curious though, because we both know Grant. Gary V follows me on Twitter, which blows my mind. But how did you get Grant to come speak for free at your first conference?
Oh, that's the $50 million question that everyone wants to know, right? So it went down in 2015. I was before people were telling every salesperson, go live 800 times a day and annoy the shit out of everyone on Facebook because you're talking about and you're not a motivational speaker, you're a car salesman. Before those days, when those of us who actually inspire and motivate people, we lived on Periscope and Meerkat.
Yeah.
Before Facebook Live. And so myself, Grant, Gary, we were all in that early adopter group. And one day we're in the office, and I hear Chris Spear. He goes, "Bro, come in the conference room. Cardone's on Meerkat, and he's talking about you." Now, to set the stage, a week earlier, Robert Wiseman, friend of mine, calls me and goes, "Hey, dude, did you see what Grant did on Twitter?" And I said, "No, what did he do?" He goes, "He unfollowed everyone except for 80 people." And I go, "Really? That's cool." And I go back to work. He goes, No. Listen, you're one of the 80 he stayed following. I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool." Grant's been like, my idol since learning this. And I'd only met him once or twice. So I got trained to be a Cardone trainer, so I got to meet him then and all that. But so Chris, then here we are a month later, Chris goes, "Cardone's on Meerkat talking about you, bro. Get in here." And I walk in there, and Grant is saying, like, if you want to learn how to do video right, you want to learn how to do social right, you need to follow Matt. And here's his handle. He's like, "This guy, he's what's up. If you're not following him, you're stupid." Literally.
Right.
And so I pull up Meerkat on my phone, and I don't know why, because I could have been content watching it on Chris's. And he goes, "Oh, hold up. He just signed on. I'm going to cameo him in right now." And he cameos me in, and we're talking like this.
Yeah.
As if we've been friends for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's just been this great conversation. And he goes, "Listen, man, I want to do give. He's like, "I want to do something for you. Name one thing, and I'll do it, whatever it is." And I didn't realize at that time that our conference that we just decided to do, literally like 2 days earlier, we picked the date.
Yep.
It happened to be Grant's birthday. And Chris is like, "Dude, ask him to keynote our conference." And I go, "Grant, we're doing this Rockstar Auto conference. Here's the date. It's in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Love to have you come be the keynote." And he goes, "Done. That's my birthday, and it's my present to you. I'm in."
Dude, I was on there. I remember that. I remember that. I was on there.
That was how it went down, bro. And everybody watching was like, "Oh man, this guy knows Cardone." Like, my Twitter following went from 1,000 to like 4,000 overnight. Yep. Right, my Periscope, everything jumped. And now, fast forward time. Here's the best part. Digital Dealer, the same year that we did Rockstar. Digital Dealer was like 2 months later. And a guy took a picture, and I think I have it. It's shared on my Facebook. But a guy took a picture. Grant and I ran into each other in the hall, and he's like, Matt, come here. Let me get a selfie with you." And pulls out his phone. And the next thing I see, I'm tagged in this Facebook post, and this guy goes, "Holy shit, Grant Cardone just asked if he could take a picture with Matt." Now, it was just because we'd finally built some rapport, right? It was just like, "What's up, bro? Let's get a picture together." But what it did for me on social, was just epic. And he came to our event, and it was funny because Jared Glant had told Chris when he was talking, Grant's like, "Have your people call my people, and we'll set it up," right?
Yeah.
So we get off the and I go, "Chris, I don't have people. You're my people. Like, you call."
Right.
So I'm like, "I can't call. You got to call. I look like I got people." So back then, so Chris made the call. And he was talking to Jared, right?
Yeah.
And Jared's like, he's only going to have time to do a Q&A. That's it. Grant gets there with Elena, Scarlett, Sabrina, Ryan Secco. And, we talk whatever. And he goes, "Hey, Matt, what do you want me to do?" And I said, Jared said, you've only got time for Q&A. He goes, "Yeah. Jared's not here, and I'm the boss of my company. And this is your thing. What do you want me to do?" "Whatever you want, I told you I'll do it for you." And I said, "Well, if we could start by letting people get pictures with you, that'd be great." So there were like 70 people at that first event. Grant took a picture of every single one in front of the Rockstar banner, did a beautiful keynote, just, dude, like, amazing.
Yep.
Almost an hour, which is for free right now on our site.
I think he live streamed it.
We did. We live streamed it, and if you go to rockstarautoconference.com, you can literally click on the past events, Kalamazoo. You can watch Grant's keynote. Part of the time, he's got one of the girls on his shoulder. Yeah. And then he did a Q&A for 35 minutes after, man. He literally spent about 2 hours with us and $0, 0 cents. And it's actually because of Grant offering to do it is how we got Gary. Because Chris called Gary V's people, because it was right after Grant and Gary had a little bit of a piss-in match online. About the cease and desist deal from the deal.
Yeah, I remember.
And Chris called Gary's people and said, "We're doing this boutique event that's never been done before, and Grant Cardone is keynoting it, and we'd like to give Gary an opportunity to participate." And they were like, yeah, Gary gets, whatever, 50 grand. And Chris goes, yeah, and so does Grant. And he's flying in on his jet and his gas and doing it for free. But listen, if Gary doesn't want to be part of it, that's okay. He doesn't have to. We just thought we'd give him an opportunity. And they were like, what's your number? Let us call you back. And so they called Chris. And I'm hearing Chris from the other office. I'm like, dude, you've got like balls this big. Listen, we compliment each other in different ways. Like, I love that Chris is just so fearless. So they call him back and they're like, listen, Gary's in Europe then. Can you move the date? And I was like, shit, he's going to come do it. And Chris is like, of course we can't move the date. It's on Grant's birthday. And like, we've already got people coming that have bought plane tickets, right? And by the way, this is still 3 days after we had picked the date. Committed, we weren't changing the date. So long story long, Gary up. So they said, here's the deal. He's got this book called #AskGaryV that he wants to make a bestseller. If you'll buy, X amount of books, he'll do an exclusive Ask Gary V show for you guys. So he did that for Rockstar just for us, and it was a blessing, man. And I don't want to shortchange. We had a lot of other great auto industry speakers that were there as well. Brian Armstrong, Bobby Heron, Jennifer Briggs, Mike Davenport, Eric Milch, myself. But those are the two big names everybody knows, are Grant and Gary. Yeah. But so many people that came and just were such a blessing with that first event. And then we were never doing it again, dude. We were like, screw this. A lot of work. We sold tickets for like $100 each, right? We were just like, let's just do a conference. And when it was over, I think we had like made $500. And we're like, whoever's left, we're going to Shakespeare's pub and we're buying drinks until that's gone. We took all out. Drinks, and we were like, all right, done. Phew, that was a lot of work. Never do it again. And then a couple weeks later, traffic spiked to the site. It was like 3,000 unique visitors, 20,000 views. Then the email started going in. When's the next one? Where's it at? I want to come. Where can I buy tickets? And we went, holy crap. It's next year, and we're doing it in Dallas. But, we planned the date wrong, right? Like, there was NADA, CBT, us, all like week. Yeah. In a storm. So it was a small event, but lives got changed. And then we got, when's the next one again? And so that was when, after the second one, we finally said, this is definitely not making us rich, but we're getting stories of people going, my life changed. A kid like Jerry Peppers, I said kid, he's about 30 something. Great guy down in Texas, had never sold 20 cars in his life in a month. And when he left our event, he's never sold less than 20 a month on average. He broke 30 cars for his first time. And, when you hear stories of like, I didn't think I could do this, and now I did that. Jose Luis Dabda, I shared a message he sent me with his permission about a month ago. He's a sales manager now, and he said, I owe everything that's happened in my career, from being a salesperson to being in the role I'm at now, leading people, to my experience at Rockstar, which, dude, brought tears to my eyes. So I'm like, what? I'm like, I thought this dude didn't care for it because he hasn't come to every one. Yeah. And I'm like, man, to hear somebody say that, dude, it's so humbling.
Craig, there's so many great comments on the live stream on Facebook. It's amazing. Craig Lockard said he was in Dallas, but I want to, and Sandy Zanino said some really nice stuff. You'll have to go back and read some of it, but I want to make a point about something that this wasn't luck. I mean, there might have been some serendipity, but it wasn't. It was like, you've put in a lot of work. You've lost a ton of money. You've lost nights of sleep. I get all that. I've been there. I cameoed in with Grant, I don't know how many times on Meerkat, and like, it was really, really cool. And so, but I want to point out a couple of things. Number one, you got Gary V. That's how I got Gary V to follow me, is I bought like 20 or 30 of his books, because when he was trying to get it to the bestseller, and I said, dude, I bought, I sent him a tweet or whatever, and he followed me. I was like, wow, Grant edifies people like crazy. Like, he really does. And so, Grant edified you because you edified him. And there's so many people, and you and I have had these conversations about these and I don't want to say amateurs, like I don't want to become a pompous ass about it. I don't, because like I remember the first time I went live, dude, I was nervous as a hooker in church. But like I was like, I really was. I was terrified. But I can remember, like watching Grant and how he edifies other people, and he does for others before he asks you to do anything for him. And Gary V does that, he really, and so, anybody watching this going, man, Matt's so lucky. I love that. Or Ken Walls is just lucky. He's not, it's not about that, man. It's learning how to edify other people first. Put others first, right? So kind of just, and we're, I mean, it's the internet. We can go all day if you want, but like I try to keep it around an hour. We're at 50 minutes already, dude. But like, talk about that a little bit, about how you edified other people before you expected them to do anything for you.
The funny thing is, I didn't realize that I was doing that. And I'd like to act like it was very intentional early on, but it wasn't. Cars.com used to have this thing. They were like, make your boss look good, and that's how you move up in the company. Well, I wasn't focused on making my boss look good. I was focused on making sure my clients got what they want. And that, to me, by default, make my boss look good. And what I've learned over the years is that a good leader focuses on their people because they know that, they get returns because of that. It just by default happens, right? About a year and a half ago, I got digging back right when I started dating my girlfriend, Dara, actually. A lot of people don't know this about me. I used to be a youth pastor, right? So don't let all the tattoos and the sometimes profanity fool you. So I used to be in a little non-denom church, and it was so cool. I worked with teens a lot. And I for a long period of my life, though, after moving and shifting gears, I didn't spend a lot of time studying anymore. And one of the first things that just like I'd say reawakened that was like looking at the model of leadership that Jesus had. Like, and regardless of what someone's spiritual beliefs are, this isn't a religious podcast, but if you just look at a historical model, right, just time period in history, one of the biggest things, talking about edifying others, was there's a piece in there where he washed his feet, right? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
If you knew history back then, people would come to your home. You had a servant that washed people's feet, right?
Yeah.
But this is the dude that's like God in the flesh, the king, the leader, and he gets starts washing people's feet. Why was that a big deal? Well, because historically back then, the owner of the house wouldn't wash your feet, let alone the king, let alone God, right?
Right.
So, but that example set right there, like when you fast forward 2,000, 3,000 years, you go, if you actually take care of other people, if you make that your mission, what are they going to want to do? They're going to follow you. They'll die on a sword for you. Yep. They will be crucified for you. They will lay down their life for you. So for me and Chris with Rockstar, we said, okay, obviously we want to make a ton of money, right? We want this to be our living as Rockstar. But we said, we've had multiple people go, look, just let sponsors pay you to speak on stage. And it's funny, we do stuff backwards. We pick our speakers before we start calling our sponsors, because we never want someone to say, well, the reason Ken Walls is on stage is because he wrote a $8,000 check for a booth.
Right.
No. We said if we truly are committed to helping people have a better quality of life when they walk out of the room than when they walked in, they're going to tell others, and they're going to want to be part of this movement. And that's what we've committed to, so much so that we literally have a 100% money back guarantee. If someone comes to the Rockstar event and if they don't feel like their life is changed by lunch on day one, we will hand them their money back and they can take off.
Wow.
Like no one does that, because we know in that first morning, people's lives are going to change so much. They're going to have so much in their head. They're going, holy shit, when I get back, I'm going to be able to lead my people better. I'm going to be able to make better decisions in my marketing and my advertising. I literally, and I don't say names because it's private business, but like somebody, because of the experience interaction they had, their marriage came back together. That's like crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you love all over people. I love you back. But with be the first one, right? Somebody's got to be first. And, some goober went online actually. He's never been to Rockstar, never talked to us, and went on, did some stupid video. Rockstar Auto Conference sucks. This guy yells. He's like, he yells at everything. He's like, this should be called Powdered Sugar Conference because there's no closers, man. I'm like, yeah, none of those 7-figure earners know how to close anything, guy. I'm like,
right.
And at first I got so ticked off, and I'm calling Chris, like, oh, this is pissing me off so bad. Like, why would someone say so many mean things that's never been there? And I'm like, you know what? We must be doing something right if it's drawing the cockroaches into the light.
That's
like,
right.
Literally, people like Lisa Copeland who get, 10, 20 grand a keynote. Yeah. And Lisa comes for free and says, I want to be part of this and bless people. Sean Thomas has become a friend. Mm-hmm. AskMillionaire.com. He's spoken at 2 Rockstar events for $0.00.
I was talking to Sean yesterday, man. He's coming on the show. He's awesome. And Lisa,
Sean.
I mean, we don't even have to say anything else about Lisa. Katie Mayers, who's still on here, like, dude, these are literally rock stars.
Well, and there's the big thing, bro. Like Kendrick Show, like every speaker at a Rockstar event, Sean Kelly, Sean Welsh, Frank Lopes. None of these people ask for one penny. Coach Sherry Wynn is a 2-time Olympic champion, national championship basketball coach. She's also speaking. Carrie Reese Wise. All of these people that are speaking are high 6- and 7-figure earners.
Yeah.
They get paid huge money to speak. Here's the one thing that not everybody knows about Rockstar. We've never paid any speakers one penny, and we won't. And here's why. We want people that actually care about changing lives. And I'm not saying that they're not worth it. They're all worth millions, like, for them to come speak.
Right.
But the beautiful thing is all these people we just mentioned believe in this movement to help other people better their life and get a new life. And because of them, we're able to put on these events. Without them, we couldn't do this. So it is a blessing, man. Crazy blessing.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible. And I think that I want to kind of, we have 3 minutes left. we're going over, so we're all in. We're going over. So I do want to say though, I always ask everybody on the show, like, people get stuck. And they give up easily. Like, dude, you got fired from 2 dealerships and you're like, but I'm a car salesman, and you stuck with it, Which that's so funny. But anyway, so like, and you've obviously done very well. So, let me ask you this. What do you think keeps people stuck, man? Everybody says fear, and I agree with that, but what else?
Life experience, man. I'll tell you, Ken, it takes a lot to dig yourself back out. I've not only, had the rough beginning, but there's stuff people don't know. When I sold my text company, I had a big cancel right before it sold. I lost 75% of the value of selling the company. I had a lawsuit with an unscrupulous person at one point, which literally financially, that coupled with a bad business decision that we made on another deal, those both happened to coincide in the same year. And I had a year where I went from a quarter of $1,000,000 of pocket money the year before to literally losing so much. Yeah. Filing taxes would just be for fun to show, hey, look who lost the most money this year.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like lost it from like 80 million down to 20 million. I mean like in the red, lost money.
Yeah.
So people don't realize, to get unstuck, it takes faith. And I'm not just talking about like a religious. I'm talking about like everybody has faith in something.
Right.
But you gotta have the faith that if you do the right things will come around, and you gotta have the patience to see it come to fruition. And sometimes it means doing the stuff you don't want to do in the interim. Sometimes it means if you're an entrepreneur, you gotta go take a job to work for someone else to make the money to get you back where you want to be.
Right.
Sometimes it takes going to bed and crying yourself to sleep so that everybody else doesn't see it, like getting unstuck takes courage, right?
Yeah.
People, what do they say? Being brave is having the courage to do it even when you're scared.
Yes.
A lot of people, as entrepreneurs, we just, we jump. We jump. Steve Harvey says jump. Yeah. Well, guess what? Unless you've jumped and had a family to support, and then, you're 40,000 feet in the air and you get to 20,000 feet and you go, shit, I forgot my chute.
Right.
You don't understand what it's like.
Right.
So to get unstuck, listen, you got to have the faith that doing the right things will yield the right results. You got to have the patience to stick with it, and you got to have the willingness to do what's hard, even when it feels like a step backwards.
So let's say, and this is a question I ask everyone also. Let's say that I've been in business 16 years, man, and it's been a battle. And I think about one time I had an employee walk in my office and go and interrupt me. I was in a meeting. Hey, there's a guy walking around your SUV out in the parking lot looking in the windows and stuff. And I go, well, tell him to get out of here. And he goes, well, he's kind of got it blocked with his tow truck. And I go, well, then definitely tell him to get out of here. So
we know what that was.
Yeah, he was there to pick up my car. And so, that was a great moment, but, all my employees got paid, but I didn't. But, so there are times though in life that everybody goes through. If somebody called you up and they said, dude, my electric's being shut off tomorrow. My car was repoed last week. Everything's falling apart. I can't figure it out. I'm not making enough money to even feed my kids. What do I do, man? What do I do? What would you say to that person to help them in that moment? Because I've been there and everybody wants to give you this awesome advice but it just feels like crap normally. Like, you don't understand. Right? So what do you say to that person, man, to get them over that mental hump?
That hits home because I've been there too. The first thing I say is I'm sorry that you're going through it, because the reality is we need someone to care in that moment.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is if they want to dig deeper is offering up a time to get together with them and go through. Let's figure out what you need to make it through this time. And because I don't think there's an easy answer, but I would want to be an encourager. Probably the first thing I'd say is I'm sorry. And the next thing I'd say is you've been at the top of the mountain. You know what it feels like.
Yeah.
We just need to figure out how to get you back there. Let's spend some time. Let's get you there. And then the rest really, you got to figure out the info of what's causing the feelings and where we're at. And, I think it's always easy to say this after the fact, but going through the hardships you've gone through, dude, I've had a car on a hook.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Good feeling. But going through that, when you're on the other side, you're like, oh, that's what that was for.
Yeah.
Right? I had to experience that so that I could know that I never want to be there again, but also because there's somebody else that's going to go through that. And we're not meant to do this journey alone. Right.
That's right.
So yeah, if somebody called me and said that, I'd just say, hey man, sorry. Look you've been here. You've had those moments. You've had the greatness, which means that's inside you. It really is.
Yep.
But now figure out what's going on, why you lost your mojo. We got to figure out what's going on. Is it a turn of events that's just, Yeah. Thing is, I had somebody ask me this, where's Rockstar going to be in 3 years? Where's it going to be in 5 years? Where's it going to be? Fuck, I don't know. If I knew, it would be there now.
Right.
But here's what I know, is that we're going to keep doing the right things. We're going to keep loving people because that's the right thing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, 3, 5, and 10 years from now, the reason I say I don't know isn't because we're ill prepared. It's because I don't know what kind of blessings are coming our way from doing the right stuff.
Right.
But they're going to be big.
That's awesome, man. That's so awesome. And you're right, man. I don't think that anybody, if you've got it's a gradient, like I said earlier, it's a gradient growth pattern that you have to experience, because if it's all handed to you like that, dude, there's no way. Like it doesn't have the same meaning. It just doesn't. So, dude, listen, man, I genuinely, and it pops up on my screen every time somebody shares this. So I want to say thank you to, I know Robert Brooker shared it. I think Craig Lockard shared it. I want to say thank you to everyone who shared this out. That's so awesome. Really is. And Matt, I want to thank you. I know you're, it's early out there in California. You're there for NADA. I want to thank you for taking the time to, make sure you were up and at 'em early this morning to be on the show, man. I appreciate it.
You don't want to see the pajama pants.
No, I don't. I don't.
Thank you so much, Ken. Seriously, it is an honor to be on your show, dude. I've seen the guest list, and I truly feel honored to be on here. Thank you so much, my friend.
Man, it's my honor, my pleasure. Thank you. And hey, hopefully you make some great connections out there at NADA and things go well for you, dude.
Rockstar, baby. Bringing it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate all of you. Thank you to everyone again who shared this out. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next week. So have a great day. Peace out.